Stop eating plants. How is CarnivoreMD able to stay lean all year round? Paul Saladino, MD. CarnivoreMD, as you've probably seen him online, he is a self-proclaimed carnivore. He basically just eats meats, just eats organs. He doesn't eat any vegetables at all. In this video, I'm gonna break down the 5 different things that I've highlighted about CarnivoreMD, which is what allows him to maintain a relatively low body fat percentage all year round. So a little background, he is a YouTuber, podcast host, entrepreneur. He actually owns the supplement company called Heart and Soil. You may have seen him here on YouTube. Maybe you've also seen him do a lot of Instagram Reels or some stuff on some other platforms. So the first thing that he does, obviously, is he eats an all carnivore diet. So he essentially is just eating, grass-fed steaks, ground beef. He's also eating a lot of organ meat, things like raw liver, testicle. He's also adding in some things like raw honey, raw milk, as well as some fruits now. He used to be very, very strict on the carnivore diet, right? Where he was just eating meats, that's it, just eating organs. But he's since sort of shifted over the years and now is eating more of an animal-based diet, which is where you actually do eat some fruits. He still doesn't eat any vegetables though. But the reason why this is one of the key factors into him maintaining a low body fat percentage is because he's not eating a ton of different processed foods. And he's also sticking to one main food category for the majority of his protein and his nutrients, which is meat. And the meat that he's eating specifically is very high quality. It comes from Costa Rica, which is local to where he actually lives. It's grass-fed, so it's got higher nutrients than some of the industrial farmed, factory farmed, grain-fed cattle that we would get in this country in America. If you know anything about organ meat and regular meat, you'll know that it has no carbohydrates. So a lot of people will associate, gaining weight, overeating with things like carbohydrates. But when you're eating majority of your calories from things like meat that are really high in nutrients, that are high quality, you're obviously not gonna be getting near as many calories in as far as carbohydrates go. As well as when you eat on a mainly carnivore-based diet, for a lot of people, what they do is they'll dip into states of ketosis kind of in and out. And for those that don't know, ketosis is where your body switches over its method of primary fuel source. Instead of relying on carbohydrates and glucose, it actually is now converting fat into what we call ketones and using that for energy as well. When you are in a state of ketosis, you're burning primarily fat in these ketones for energy. So a lot of times that can lead to weight gain and lead to your body actually burning a ton of the fat that's on your body. Which of you guys out there are down to eat organ meat? Comment below whether you would or would not try eating organ meat. All right, the next thing that Paul Saladino does to maintain his, lean physique all year round is he surfs almost every single day. I already mentioned that he actually lives in Costa Rica. I believe it looks like he lives on the beach or he lives very nearby to the beach. So it's just a short drive or a walk away. So he's actually able to get a phenomenal amount of cardio in every single day. I don't know if any of you guys have tried surfing. It's hard as It requires a lot of cardiovascular endurance. It requires a lot of shoulder mobility as you're swimming through the waves, and you're huffing and puffing the entire time. I mean, I've been surfing maybe once or twice in my entire life, and both the times I did it were incredibly exhausting. So he's burning a ton of calories by doing that. He's also talked about in the days where he's not surfing, whether the swell isn't, ideal, or there's a storm, or the conditions for surfing, are not where they need to be, he'll go and he'll skateboard. So as a guy who I believe is in his early 40s, he might be late 30s, not sure, sorry if I just, made an overestimate on your age there, my man. But for somebody that's, his age to be skateboarding is also one of those sports that's pretty demanding, not nearly as demanding as surfing, but you're certainly moving around a ton. You're certainly using and expending a ton of energy while you skateboard, whether it's pushing with one leg to propel the, board forward, or if you're, pumping in and out, going on a track or something like that. So those two things are really large calorie expenditure activities. And they're also things that people really enjoy doing. So typically when you mix something that has cardio with something that you enjoy, like sports, surfing, you're going to be a lot more motivated to do it. And because you're having fun, you're probably gonna do it for longer periods of time, therefore burning more calories. The third thing that he does is he only eats local raw honey and organic fruits for his carbohydrate sources. This is a particular advantage because, as most of you probably already know, consuming carbohydrates that come from things like honey, from fruit, they're a lot healthier for you than eating a lot of the highly concentrated, refined cane sugars, added sugars, high fructose corn syrups, and things like that we get in a lot of processed foods in America and other places like the UK and other areas around the world. Eating fruits and honey in its raw form have tons of different nutrients and phytochemicals that help really protect your body from any sort of damage or large negative side effects that you would get from consuming sugar. And because he's consuming just these sources of carbohydrates, that means guess what he's not eating? He's not eating cake. He's not eating pasta. He's not eating, rice, although I think there's nothing wrong with rice. He's not eating French fries. He's not eating these other foods that can be highly processed or can be highly caloric or can be, super high in carbohydrates, these big, gluttonous, large portion meals that you would typically get with pasta or eating ton of fries or something like that. So because of that, he's probably consuming a lot less calories and subsequently a lot less grams of carbohydrates per day because he's just sticking to really one or two different sources of carbohydrate. Plus, when you think about refined sugar and different additives that are, in heavy carbohydrate type foods, they are associated with sort of metabolic issues as far as how your body actually breaks down sugars, as well as your hunger hormones. So the things that tell your body that you're no longer hungry or that you're fully satiated. It's been known that heavily processed foods, specifically stuff like candy and energy drinks and things like that have tons of added sugar, maybe even things like high fructose corn syrup, they can kind of send signals to your brain. You tell your body to keep eating, that you're no longer satiated. Whereas something like, raw honey, fruits, these whole foods that have tons of nutrients are going to really tell the signal to our body that we're more satiated, we're actually getting solid nutrients, and we're getting the type of energy and fuel source that our body needs. As for me, I try to eat organic fruit almost every single day. I think it's great for you. Okay, the next thing that he does has to do more with his sort of daily routine and really regulating his schedule around the sun when it comes up and goes down. So what I mean is that in the morning, he wakes up and he goes outside pretty much immediately after waking. So at about 6 a.m., he goes outside, which is where he's getting the sun's natural light in his eyes, either as the sun is rising or after it's still, low in the sky in the early morning hours. Now, because of this is helping to set his circadian rhythm or his body's internal clock, which really helps to regulate his sleep-wake cycle. So by going outside and actually getting the sunlight directly in your eyes, not like staring at the sun, of course, but, indirectly absorbing those photons. In the morning when the sun is still lower in the sky, you're actually absorbing a certain type of photon that tells your body, hey, this is morning time. It's time to, increase serotonin. It's time to feel energized and kind of jumpstart that morning natural energy. So he does that, he gets moving, which helps to get, blood circulating, which is really good because even though we're talking about what he does when he wakes up, because he's setting his circadian rhythm, because he's telling his body signal that, hey, this is morning time, we're getting up, we're getting sun in our eyes, that's going to allow him to actually fall asleep better at night because he's, probably waking up and going to bed at the same time, which is really good for your, sleep-wake cycle and your body's internal clock. And then conversely, what he's doing at the latter half of the day is he typically likes to finish his days with a walk on the beach during the sunset. So similar thing that I kind of told you happens in the morning when the sun is lower in the sky and tells your body to wake up. When you look at the sunset or when you have the sun really low as it's going down later in the evening time, and different photons that are being emitted by the sun that's getting absorbed into your eyeballs, which is telling your body it's time to start winding down. It's telling your body, hey, the day is ending time, the nighttime is just around the corner, so we need to start kind of slowing down, maybe start producing melatonin, which is our brain's sleepy chemical that helps us feel tired and stay asleep. So those two things that he's doing are really helping to regulate that circadian rhythm, and that's going to allow him to get really high quality sleep. And getting really high quality sleep is associated with, better metabolic function, less weight gain, less fatigue, less tiredness. So that means he'll have more energy throughout the day to actually go and do cardio and to get moving and do all the things that he needs to do to burn calories and live that healthy, balanced lifestyle. And make sure to subscribe to the channel if you just learned something new there so that you don't miss out on any of my other videos where I talk more about how to get higher quality sleep. All right, and last but not least, we got number 5, the last thing that Paul Saladino does to help maintain his, healthy athletic physique all year round is he uses the sauna multiple times per week. So sauna has been known to really reduce inflammation and really kind of soothe and relax the muscles, which can help you kind of get to sleep and have better quality sleep. In addition to that, it's really good for your cardiovascular health. So it's good for, helping your blood flow, blood circulation, and get your heart pumping. As your heartbeat actually goes up while you're in the sauna, your body sometimes doesn't really know the difference between your heart rate going up because you're doing cardio and your heart rate going up because you're in a hot environment and your body's kind of trying to, counteract your body heat going up. And so because of that, you're actually gonna be burning more calories as your body's kind of fighting against the heat as it's trying to maintain homeostasis, which is basically just your body being neutral at all times, which when you're going into a sauna and your body temperature is increasing, it's doing the opposite of that. So your body's kind of fighting, working harder in a good way to get back to that neutral state and to maintain, a neutral core temperature.